Hello everyone. So this is Eswar. In this video, let us discuss what exactly mean by Java Server Pages (JSP). So JSP is a technology which is used to develop some web applications using some dynamic concepts. So I can develop some dynamic web applications using the technology JSP. So before going to the JSP technology, let us discuss what exactly mean by a servlet. So Servlet is also a technology which is used to develop some dynamic web applications, programmatic content. But if we want to develop some dynamic web pages using Servlet, the programmer or we should have strong knowledge on Java. Then only we can work or we can develop web applications using Servlet. So this is what a major drawback of using Servlet for developing a dynamic web pages using JSP. Using Java. But coming for here JSP, we don't require much knowledge on Java. So we require only a basic knowledge that to develop dynamic web applications using JSP. So that will be the advantage if we go with the JSPs to developing for developing some web applications. So JSP is a technology which can be considered as an extension over a Java Servlet technology. JSP is a text-based document, which we can also have some text data along with the Java code and along with the HTML code. We will be focusing on JSP since it subsumes the Servlet technology. So I can consider whatever the things we can do with the Servlet, we can do all the things even with the JSP by having some minimum knowledge on Java. So coming for the two major components of here JSP, static content and dynamic content. The static content will be provided by an HTML document or by an XML document. And the dynamic content can be generated by using JSP tags, and the Java code can be written in scriptlets, which can be encapsulating your application logic. So dynamic content will have the application logic, and static content is nothing but the presentation logic. So presentation logic will be considered as a static content, and the application logic will be considered as a dynamic content. So these are what the two major components of here JSP. So, and then as I mentioned earlier, we don't require much knowledge of Java to develop web applications using JSP. But internally, your server, whatever the JSP server we are using that to run your applications, will internally compile or will internally convert your JSP applications to .java files. That is nothing but servlet files. It will be converted automatically. So how this conversion, how this JSP compilation is going to be done into Servlet? Let us have some glance presentation how this process will be done. So we will be having a web browser that to raise one request. So web browser will send a request to the web server. So all JSP web servers will be having a J2E web containers. So in this web containers, we are going to have that JSP files. So once this web server receives a request from the web server, this will transmit that request to the web container. Then this web container will initialize a request to read a JSP document. Once the JSP document was read, then this JSP document will be translated to a Java server. So programmer or the browser no need to convert that translation to, translate that JSP document to Java servlet. Your web container itself will translate your JSP document to the Java servlet, and then it gives the result or it gives the response to the web container. But this translation process will be done only for the first time if the application was requested by client. If the client is requested for the first time, then only that particular translation process or initializing the request will be done. Once, if the translation was done for one web application, if the same application was requested for the second time by the same browser, then that will not be performing this translation phase again and again. Once it was done, subsequent request will directly take the response from this web container, and that will be given as a response to the browser. So this is what the thing. After performing this request, then the response will be given or will be forwarded from web container to the web server and from web server to the web browser. Finally, the client will receive the response what he requested for. So on over, this will be considered as the steps how this compilation will be done. I mean, JSP will be converted or will be transmitted into a Java servlet. Now let us have some clear explanation how this compilation is going to be done into servlet. That is nothing but JSP processing. So here let me discuss in detail what are the various phases present in JSP processing. So I'm going to have a client, consider me as a client. Now I'm going to request one application, one JSP application, namely hello.jsp. We can consider here hello.jsp is requested by the client to the server. So your server is going to have one JSP container. So in this JSP container, as I mentioned earlier, we will be having the JSP pages. First, it reads that requested JSP page. In this example, it will be reading the requested application, that is what hello.jsp file. Once your JSP container or the server reads the requested JSP file, then it generates, after reading that JSP file, it automatically generates the servlet.java file. So here this servlet.java file will be automatically generated by your JSP container of your web server. Once this generating was done, automatically this .java file, that means servlet class will be, servlet file will be automatically generated. So this process, reading your JSP application and generating its respective servlet.java file, this particular phase can be called as translation phase. Reading the JSP page and then generating the servlet.java file of that respective page. So this complete process can be called as translation phase. Once this translation phase was done, here servlet.java file automatically compiled that to generate a hello servlet.class file. So this generating the .java file and compiling your Java file to get the .class file. So this process will be automatically done by your JSP container. Okay. So this compiling process, that means converting or compiling your hello servlet.java file to hello servlet.class file. This particular phase can be called as a processing phase. I can consider compiling a Java file, that means servlet.java file to .class file. This particular phase I can call that as a processing phase. Once this .class file is generated, automatically we can, the JSP container can execute that .class file to give the results or to give the response requested by the client. So once this execution it gives the results. This results will be then forwarded as an HTML document to the client. So whatever the client is requested, that is what hello.jsp. So the response we got as an HTML page, obviously. So this complete process can be considered as a JSP processing. So in the JSP processing, what we are going to have the translation phase and the processing phase. In translation phase, the container JSP container will read the requested .jsp file, and then it generates servlet file. Once we generate this servlet file, then it compiles to get a .class file. Once this .class file is generated, we can execute and we can fetch the result. This is called as the processing phase. So this is a complete picture what exactly internally your JSP is going to do, that to get the results by taking the request for one .jsp file. So this is called as a JSP processing. Then let us discuss more on JSP syntaxes and the contents, what various elements we are using and what various contents we are going to have. So as I mentioned,